request Dr. Chalmai Reddy, the principal of Sri Aurobindo International School, Vidyanagar, is an internationally acclaimed thought leader, keynote speaker, and a futurist, interesting to share with our distinguished gathering that recently Ms. Karuna Gopal has been invited to be a distinguished member of the Center of Excellence on Smart Cities set up by IIT Kanpur, IIT Hyderabad, and Indian Institute of Science. I humbly request Dr. Chalmai Reddy to welcome Ms. Karuna Gopal with a bouquet of flowers. I think we can have a huge round of applause, dear audience. Thank you, Dr. Chalmai Reddy.
Good afternoon to everyone. Good afternoon. I'm really glad that I'm here today. It was a short notice, and fortunately, I had the privilege and the freedom to reschedule my meetings. So I shifted my meeting to late in the evening, and then I came for your program. Thank you. As you know, I don't particularly work in the education system, but I've had the privilege of working with several higher educational institutions like IITs, ISB, IIMs. I have lectured there, I have taught their professors, and last 20 years I have also lectured senior IAS officers. So I think I deserve to stand in front of you and share a few important messages. I think your role has both challenges and opportunities. You as principals, you as teachers, you as mentors, and you as guides have challenges and also opportunities. Now let me throw a little bit of light from my personal experience of how these challenges could be. Yesterday, I went for lunch to a friend's place, and she told me that her son was getting married, and the son comes, he's an employee, and he's working in another country. So I asked him, where are you working? So he said, ma'am, I'll be taking up a job in Italy. When he said Italy, automatically I said Alitalia. Alitalia, my friends, is an airline of Italy, and I have flown in that many, many years ago. Automatically it came to my mind and I said it. We started talking about many things. Yesterday was Ram Mandir inauguration in Ayodhya. We were talking about everything. Then suddenly the father gets a phone call. He picks up the phone and he's talking to his vice president. And in the conversation, he tells the vice president, tell the client that we will use European satellites. We will use European satellites. So his father actually works in he uses high-tech, let's say, technology, and he is into farm health. So typically they use satellite data to interpret how the farms are, etc. So when this man was talking to his vice president saying, let's use European satellite, the son jumps up and says, Dad, no, don't use European satellite. Use American satellites because they are very superior. European satellites don't have the granularity, they don't have the kind of clarity that we need. There are not too many in numbers, etc. So the father holds the phone like this, listens to the son, and goes back to the telephone and tells his vice president, tell the client we are using the European satellites. And he disconnects the call and joins the conversation. Then the son comes and asks, he said, Dad, you and I know very well that European satellites are not good. Why have you told the client that you will use them in spite of knowing that American ones are superior, far, far superior? This, my friends, is knowledge and wisdom. No internet can give you this knowledge that the Father has. Agree or not? So, in this age, when you are dealing with students, some way you should have information has to be matured, worked upon into knowledge, and that knowledge, when acted upon, gives you infinite wisdom, and children should be able to respect that wisdom. This is what you have to teach them. I'll give an example. When I was growing up, first child is an albino, and the second child also happens to be an albino. I said, no, the chances are 1 in 4. So, after 4 children, another child will be born with albinism. You know albinism, right? No pigment in the body and they're just born white. So I said, no, one child is albino, the second one cannot be, because the probability is 1 in 4. And so in my naivete, in my ignorance, I told that to my father. My father, who was an IAS officer, who had almost 13 gold medals in mathematics, international law, criminal law, he told me, will the genes know how many children the parents are going to have? So there is a chance that they will actually have 2 albino children. So those days, parents could teach us. Those days, we would sit and with respect look up to them. Is that the case today? I find on a daily basis mothers being ridiculed, fathers being told, Dad, you don't know, I know it. Teachers being told, I think I know better than her. In this day and age, you have to be extra cautious about what you know, how much you know, and how you will tell them. This is perhaps the biggest challenge that you have to deal with. In our country, Prime Minister repeatedly says, whenever he goes anywhere, he says that India is a country full of young people, 600 million youth. So he says we have a demographic dividend. But I personally believe that we don't have a demographic dividend yet. What we have is a demographic promise. There is youth, there are young people. They are promising, but they need to be trained, they need to be tutored, they need to be educated, they need to be taught respect, they need to be taught discipline. That's when they will start working for the country. Having talked about the challenges, I think you have an enormous amount of opportunities to shape these children. I give an example. I think 4 years ago, I was invited to lecture at NIT Trichy. So when they were picking up my baggage, I saw one senior lady standing next to me, picking up the baggage. So she said, these days people don't seem to really know how to dress. You know, boys are dressing up like girls and so she was negatively commenting about them. This generation is thinking of charity. I remember I represented our country at Paris for COP21. I heard the preceding speaker talk extensively about environment. So this was a conference on sustainable development goals. And I saw youngsters. There was a complete hall filled with this number of youngsters. And all of them are standing there and saying that we will develop solutions for climate change. We will develop solutions to control temperature rise. We will develop solutions to control flooding. These are young people. They can seriously be shaped by you. I see a whole bunch of opportunity if you really apply your mind. Catch them young, train them, inculcate, give them the best of habits. Sometimes I also think that these boys and girls know a lot of things. They know a lot of things, but they don't know what the actual things that they should know. For instance, they know about artificial intelligence. But do they know these boys and girls also have to know very important things like 4 Indians have to work to give an output equivalent to 1 Korean. I doubt if they know it. the students and the 6 Indian boys working and putting out an output is equivalent to 1 Chinese boy. Not many students or children know about it. These are the boys and girls who should know that India is. Tell me how many of them actually know and feel proud to be an Indian student. I doubt it. These are the boys and girls who should know, and you should tell them that India is no more an emerging nation. India is not an emerging nation, my friends. India is a re-emerging nation because India emerged long back. When you go back, dig the history, you will see that 50% of the world's trade was in India's hands. The world depended on India for cotton, for silk, for spices, for even gems and gemstones. India has emerged then, but we were plundered by invasions, by the British rule. So we fell down, but we are re-emerging. Tell your students, don't look at India and feel bad that we are an emerging country. No, we are a re-emerging, resurrecting country we are. I think this is something that you have to share with them. How many of these boys and girls who you teach know that India at one time was not even considered to be a part of the Asian tiger? As teachers, I'm sure you know that we are going through what we call as the Asian century. Asian century is when the world actually depends on Asia for everything, economic development, growth, everything. So India is a part of that. We didn't know. 10 years ago, nobody understood what was a startup. India's startup map was 0. But today, you have lakhs. Startups running from, starting to 100, 1,000, thousands and lakhs of startups. And even a 14-year-old today wants to do something about entrepreneurship. Now, why are they doing that? Because of inspiration. So the world, my friends, this is something as teachers, as people who are responsible, sitting at the helm of affairs of a school, you have to know, is the growth and development of a nation depends very much on the youth, and you have to continuously inspire them, which means you have to be one step ahead of them at every stage. If they're talking technology, you should be in a position not only to understand, but to tell them, yes, you can do that. Now, you might ask me, is it relevant for schools? Yes, it is, my friends. The average age of an entrepreneur is coming down dramatically. They are not 30-year-old entrepreneurs anymore. They're 14-year-old boys. They're people sitting there at a home trying to come out with bottles that can be eaten. Today you have plastic bottles. Can you eat them? Can you eat them? But there is a boy in Ireland who actually came out with a seaweed material, and you can actually drink water from that. After you drink, you can eat the bottle. That is done by a school student. There are many students who are working at the helm of affairs, and you as educationists should be in a position to understand their aspirations, their knowledge, their information, guide them properly, take them to the next level. As I said, India is poised to be a global leader by 2030. India will be not just a leader economically, but India will be a leader both geopolitically and economically. And our 600 million youth will be sitting right in the driver's seat and taking the nation forward. That is going to happen only when people like you, who are mentors, who are guides, who can inspire them with good words, who can teach them discipline and the path of righteousness. If they make mistakes, if they are fraudulent, if they cheat, if they get into crime, they lose the game. You have to tell them today that they know about internet, they know about technology, but how much do they know about the cyber laws? Do they know that they can, if they go and breach someone's private data, they can be penalized, they can be put behind bars? Do they know that? Do they know data privacy laws? You need to learn. You need to push your children to learn. India is fast changing, just like the world is. Many, many years ago, we were like, there was globalization, there was industrialization, there was urbanization, there's motorization. Today, we are not influenced by that anymore. We have globalized enough, we have motorized enough. Now we are cutting down. We are getting back to the basics of nature. We don't want to buy cars, we want to take metros. We don't want to buy motorcycles, we want to use the monorail, or we want to walk to work. So we are going back to the basics in terms of usage of technology, in terms of usage of transportation. So in your education also, you need to go back to the basics. Teach them manners. I don't know how you will do that. Teach them how to respect. If you tell them, they will not respect. You behave in such a way that they will prostrate. Because I have seen students are very, very malleable. They can be influenced very nicely. And if you are a role model, if you behave in such a way that they feel that she is the role model or he is my role model, then they will respect you. And the respect goes in a very generic way to all seniors. So back to the basics of manners, discipline, self-care, practice every day, sports, all that is in your hands. Because they say that if you are thinking too much and you live here, your body rots. Do you know that how do you still your mind? Do people know how you can still your mind? You can calm your mind. You can calm your mind when you make your body move. That's why when you dance, when you gyrate, when you run, your mind becomes calm. So these are things that you should practice, you should teach your students, because as I said, India is the hub of innovation and entrepreneurship and development and growth. And you are sitting as mentors and guides of all these 600 million youth. So you have to be in the race for learning, growing, evolving, and mentoring them. You do that first, they follow your path. Like in the army, they say, there is a corridor of growth. You go into the corridor, someone comes with you. You go first, they follow you. That is how it is. The corridor is restricted. And this is how you grow. So the challenges are there, as I mentioned. The opportunities are also there to shape them. Just one example I'll give you. I was in Russia about 3 months ago. We attended a conference like this. There was nobody else. It was just students, 9th class, 10th class students who were with us. And my friends, you would have also seen, sometimes you send your students to accompany, seniors when they go to talk at conferences, right? But there was a difference. These people, I know the difference because I have spoken at many conferences in India, and young people come, pick me up from the airport, show me to my room in the hotel, or take me to the venue. I say, ma'am, I'll be waiting outside, anything you call me. You think in Russia it was like that? No. In Russia, they picked us up, they accompanied us. In the car, they were asking us, ma'am, what exactly do you do? Where is India in this global scenario? They were digging for information. They were asking us relevant questions. They never left our side. And every time they were asking questions about the country, growth, learning, students, peer learning, information, startups. I was fascinated. This is what you should do. Send your children to conferences and tell them not to just say, ma'am, I'll wait for you. Lunchtime, I'll come and meet you. No. They should spend time with the speaker. If he's a finance expert, they should understand what exactly he is doing. If he's a government official, they should know what is his responsibility and relevance to the country. Tell them, give them that. Give them challenging opportunities. Give them challenging tasks. and then they will grow, you will grow. That's all I have to say. Thank you very much.
And for that, we are very grateful. Thank you, Ms. Karuna Gopal. To felicitate Ms. Karuna Gopal, I take immense pleasure in requesting Dr.
Okay, so you may not really appreciate what I'm going to say. I never planned my career. It just happened. I'll tell you how it happened. I was to join medicine, as I said, but I had a health problem. I had a cardiac arrest when I was 14 years old. And I couldn't join medicine. I did my genetics. Then from genetics, I moved to information technology. And I was one of the 3 persons in the country to have been trained in Oracle 35 years back. And Oracle is a relational database which is still existing today. I was one of the 3 in the country. Then from there, I moved to strategy management. Then I moved because of situations that pushed me out of those areas. There were challenges. My father died when I was in my school. And every time there was a challenge, I had to change my line. And every time I was changing my line, I told myself that this area is interesting. I took whatever I had to as oh wow, I think IT is interesting. So like that, every time I changed, I thought it was a new area. And I would always be ahead of the race. For instance, if today, like my profile also says I'm a futurist. For instance, what the government is implementing today in Government of India, I have worked on it 10 years back or 15 years back. And I have documentation to prove that I have done it. That's because I would get up in the morning at 4 o'clock and I would ideate and certain things would come, because whenever you put in hard work, I think God blesses you. And gradually I started looking at things that others were not seeing. And every area that I worked in, I wanted to see the future of that. Today, if I am working in medicine, I would like to know what nanomedicine can do, what targeted medicine can cure, so it's the future that I was interested in. So by doing things very differently, everyone was attracted to my work. For instance, I never applied to World Bank. I never applied to Asian Development Bank. I never applied to DFID of UK or USA. They sought me. They asked me if I could join them as an expert. So it happened because Karuna was doing something different. Others were not doing that. So let her come on board. So I think in your profession, if you have to shape your career, do things differently. I'm not saying be the outlier, don't go with the school norms. No, don't do that. You have to be in the brief given by your organization. Stay in the brief, but do what is permissible, what is futuristic, ideation, all that. If you can go beyond the brief in a legitimate way, then you will get whatever you want. The second point is trust your colleagues, trust your bosses. All the time we are skeptical whether colleagues will help us or not. I'll give an example. Almost when I was 30 years old, like 20 years back, I think, I was lecturing to a bunch of vice chancellors of agricultural universities. So I was talking to them, and some of the women there said, it's impossible to go beyond the deans because, ma'am, we don't have any support. I said, did you actually find out if you had support? Then I coaxed them to actually put in efforts to partner with their colleagues, their bosses. After 2 years, they came back and wanted me for another session, and they said it worked. Some of them actually got help from their colleagues, their bosses. It was all in their mind that they will not help. So there will be prejudices, there will be biases, there will be a problem, but try. If you try, you will get. So trust in God, trust everyone around you. I think everyone, there is divinity in people. I think I believe in that. There's divinity in people. I believe that everybody means well for me. They may harm me, but I don't care. I want to see that 1% in them that will do good for me. So I'll stick to that.
As you design smart cities, I am a curious student. I would like to understand what are the foremost areas that you think about before you start planning a city to be converted into a smart city.
Okay, so to answer your question, actually, an existing city to convert it into a smart city is a very big problem. So we call it retrofitting. Like, I'll give an example. Supposing you have to build a house and somebody gives you a vacant land, you can build a beautiful house, right? But somebody gives you a very old, dilapidated house with, all drain system being wrong, everything being wrong. And they say that, convert it into a beautiful house. That's when the challenge starts. That's the challenge. So in such a situation where we look at a city like, let's say, Hyderabad, I don't know, you must be from all over the country, right? So if you take a city, and the city is already existing with its problems, narrow roads, many houses, traffic, too much of traffic, less underground sewerage, then less water supply, maybe because, the lakes around have dried up. You get such a city, then it becomes impossible to plan. But there's always a solution for things. The first thing we have noticed is, if you can get the will of people, living in the city to cooperate. For instance, everybody wants a car of their own. So if we can convince them, don't buy a car, but get into a metro. We will save a lot of fuel, will save a lot of pollution, etc. So one is convincing, working with people to consume less water, take public transportation, do regular walks in the local, surrounding area to keep good health, understand how to work with the community. If you can get people together to accept those, then that is the first pillar, is to get people to work together. It's not about hard infrastructure, my friends. Just remember one thing. I remember we worked extensively in the e-governance area. So when we wanted to work in the e-governance area, the government, everybody went and bought computers. Computers everywhere. But there was no software inside. They didn't know how to deal with the software. They had no idea. So getting a hard infrastructure is the easiest part. Like, for instance, I was advisor to our urban ministry when Swachh Bharat was announced by the Prime Minister. So at that time, everybody was building toilets. But how to make someone use the toilets? People were using toilets to store notebooks. Some of them put, their old clothes. Some of them put cattle in the, So that is hard infrastructure you can give easily. What is soft infrastructure? Convincing them to use the bathroom. Convincing them to get a water connection. Convincing them to flush it every time you use. And if you're using a public toilet, convincing them to pay the user fee, soft infrastructure. So these are things that we have to do. So one is getting people together to get a smart city in place. The second one is to understand sectoral relevance. Supposing there are slums, you can quickly talk to them and get the slums, rebuild the slums. For instance, Mumbai, anybody from Mumbai? Yeah, so you have Dharavi, right? So, Dharavi, right? So that has gone through iterations. 12 times the government has announced for rebuilding. And I was serving as an expert in American institute called Center for Tall Buildings and Urban Habitat in 2010. We have done a study there. How to build, take a slum, but how to go up like this. And people there didn't want, they said, we are doing leather work here, we are doing dyeing there, we are doing everything, we don't want to go to the top floor. It was hell convincing them that they can go to the 6th floor. No. They said, our customers won't come, our dealers won't come and deal with us, so that's the problem. So Dealing with slums is another thing. Then getting water, underground sewerage connection, all that. So we have a plan, we have executed the plan. I understand how complicated it is, as I said. If you give me a land like that, I can build a smart city in no time. Retrofitting, remember the old house, make it into a modern building. It's a complex thing.
I'm sorry, I'll take just a minute.
No, not at all. You may
Ladies and gentlemen, let us put our hands together. Today we have heard a wonderful professional. Ma'am, there are 3 small questions.
Yes.
In this man professional dominated society, what have been your hiccups in your professional journey? Number 2. Today, there is a talk of women empowerment. How do you perceive it in Indian context, vis-a-vis global context? I hope I am clear.
Yes, absolutely.
And third, what is your final advice to all of us, the principals or people who are involved in school management? Because we have not only countrywide challenges, but it's global economy now, and we need to prepare ourselves for global level challenges too. Thank you.
Okay, thank you very much. So the first question is about the personal problems and hiccups that I faced in my profession. There have been many challenges actually. There have been many challenges both I would say the challenges were more internal, about, let's say, most of the challenges were nothing to do with the external environment, but more to do with my own personal life. So I've had challenges in the domestic front for various reasons. Maybe my parents' ill health, my in-laws' ill health, or my son who's got a disability. I have to deal with the problem continuously on a continuous basis. There's no respite. I have to pay attention to him 100% all the time. Notwithstanding that, I need to carry on with my profession. So the hiccups have more been internal, but I wouldn't say that the external factors also were not there. There were many. When I had these internal challenges, I know some of my colleagues would say that let that assignment, Karuna ma'am may not be able to handle the assignment. Don't make her a team leader. She might have to travel to Milan, Manila. She has domestic problems. So my colleagues tried to mess up my career progression by spreading the message she has challenges and whatever. So that has happened throughout my career. But I understood that as a part of, it happens in everyone's life. Nothing is, laid out for everyone. So you have to work around the system and basically keep your wise counsel. If I lose one, I always believed, if I lost one, I got a bigger assignment the next time. So the key thing was never to feel sad, bad. Whatever was not meant for me did not come, but whatever was meant for me is waiting there. So since I believed, I also kept one more picture in my mind throughout my life is when you plan your success, you see one beautiful flower, but God's plan has 10 flowers there. So that is His plan for you. So I always believed in the divine. So all the problems dissolve in my case. I do go through ups and downs periodically. But I manage. The second question, as far as women empowerment is concerned, sir, I know it is a very complex area. I have seen women in other parts of the world. I have traveled extensively and worked extensively in almost 14 countries, both UK, USA, UAE, Korea, France, Germany. Everywhere I think women do have similar kind of challenges. I'm telling you, we are no different. We're absolutely no different. They have similar kind of challenges. Only Nordic countries like Finland, Norway, Sweden, I saw that women had better opportunities. There was reservation. They were meant to go and sit in the boardroom. They created nice, opportunities for them. But in other countries, more or less the same thing. And one thing I noticed in our country is, we are super achievers in our country. If you compare the number of women graduating with highest honors, in our country we have more of them than in any other country. But translating that intelligence into action, into getting gainful employment is very less. For instance, I was sitting with the directors of IITs once. So the director of IIT said, we have the highest number of women in our campus. They're brilliant. They go out with top, marks. So I asked him, I said, sir, can you tell me how many of them actually became someone like you? He had no answer. They go out with flying colors, but they don't work. So I think in India, we need to convert our knowledge and desire into action. We need to be action oriented, we need to be employment oriented, we need to be entrepreneurship oriented, and we should stop it in our mind that earning money is bad. I think we should kill that thought. We should take care of our families, because I was told that when a woman earns money, 96% of what she earns goes back into her family. She'll give better food, better education, better opportunities for the children. So we should all push. World Economic Forum gave that. They said for a man, it could be other things. He may want to buy a car or want to invest in a new plot or buy another house. But for a woman, it's always inside. So when women earn, they park the money inside. So we should first wipe it out of our minds that in India, we have to be action oriented. We have to convert our knowledge and skills into working and save and work for your family, work for the society. Because I think that concept of individual growth, societal growth, and national growth have to be integral and integrated. You can't flourish if a country is bad, I can tell you that. You can't flourish when your country is doing badly. So you have to flourish, you have your neighborhood, your society has to flourish, then you will grow. So I think that element is important for Indians and they have to take care. The third one is, I really have no advice. You are the mentors, you are the educationists, you are the big people. But one thing, as I said, as educationists, my advice to you is, always remember, you and doctors keep the fate of people in your hands. You and doctors are the only two professions that can shape the nation. You can just shape the nation, take care of the fate of a human being. If a man is broken, it's because of a teacher. If a man is made, it's because of a teacher. The inspiration you give. So constantly stay inspired to inspire. Stay inspired, please. You inspire yourself. Look at your role models. Look at your growth. And then you inspire. Because the only way to spread happiness is to be happy yourself. And the Eastern philosophy says, you don't get when you ask. You have to give to get. You have to give to get. Today, if I want to know his name, I can't say, sir, may I know your name? He will not tell me his name. But if I go to him, offer my hand and say, I'm Karuna Gopal, won't he say I'm XYZ? Yes or no? He will say. So the point is, you have to give. And one of my, perhaps the growth story is because I have always believed any position they give me, I have to give. The minute I don't contribute, I resign from that position. If I contribute, I deserve the chair. If I don't contribute, I don't deserve the chair. That is my message to you.
Thank you for your kind gesture, Dr. Chalmai Reddy. May this felicitation ceremony serve as a catalyst for even greater success in the future. I wouldn't be incorrect if I say that your accomplishments have brought joy and inspiration to those around you.